Hello and welcome everybody to New Earth Consciousness. Tanya here with Daniel Jackson. Oh my gosh, my words are not coming out today. He is a psychic medium and his website is spiritmediumdaniel.com. And I'm so excited for you to be here, Daniel, and share with us your story and to talk about your gift. So happy to have you here.
Thank you for having me here. I appreciate it. Looking
Yeah.
forward to it.
And my cat Tiger is also here. So so let's get into it.
Sure.
You shared with me that basically you came into this world just fully your third eye, your ability to see things was always on.
Yeah, it's always been present ever since I was 3 years old. Sure.
Yeah.
But I was seeing them then and hearing once in a while, but I wasn't able to communicate with them not until I had a full awakening right before turning 50 years old.
Oh, wow. Okay, so up until 50, you were seeing things.
I had a lot
A
of ghost stories, a ton of them,
lot of
and I
ghost
would I
stories.
would tell all my
Yeah.
friends and my family members and stuff. But yeah, I was seeing a lot of spirit all the time, and
Hmm.
but I did have some a different kind of communication going on in my early 30s, where I did have someone speak to me directly uh, during a. I was in the mall with my now ex-wife, and I had I was wearing one of those boots, the a medical boot, the horrible medical boot that everyone
Yeah,
has to wear.
yeah, yeah.
And we were walking in the mall. I was very tired at that point, and then I had to go to the bathroom. So my wife walked with me to the bathroom, and she stood outside the door. And when I went into the stall of the bathroom, a voice came through and said, "Everything will be okay, my son." And then when I stood up to look around to see who was in the bathroom with me, no one was there. When I exited the bathroom, I asked my wife if anyone had walked into the bathroom. She said, "No, it was just you. No one,
Wow.
no one, no one wanted anyone out." And then I had another incident later. I was riding my motorcycle on the way home, and I came around a turn, and I had some music playing. Excuse me, and the music just slowed down in the headphones, and then that voice came through again and said, "Everything will be okay, my son." That's when
Wow.
it really truly started for me. Started heightening at that point.
Yeah, becoming more intense. So
Yeah.
I'm curious, as a child, was it ever problematic for you growing up, being able to see things, see beyond the wall?
No, because my whole family was seeing them. We were all experiencing this because we lived in a town in New Jersey, right across the river from Philadelphia. We were right on the river.
Hmm.
And in that town, there was a battlefield, and this is where the Hessians fought a long time ago. So
Mm.
my sister had told me a couple of years later that they did a big dig there in this park,
Hmm.
and uh, and they found hundreds of bodies all buried there. But it
Wow.
was a park. It was a park that had picnic tables and stuff, but it also had monuments and big trenches and also cannon there and stuff, and a
Mm.
small little hospital as well. And they used to be able to take tours of the hospital only on the one floor. They wouldn't let you go upstairs. But but we were experiencing spirit through in our home as well as some of the other homes in the area were also. But it was on a frequent basis.
Yeah. And how would you experience them visually or just sensing them through in
Oh
your
no, they was
body
it
or
was visually. They would move ashtrays around.
yeah.
There was one time when my brothers and I were downstairs watching TV, and my sister's record player turned on upstairs. And this is back in the 70s when you had to pick a record up and put it on the
Mhm.
post and hit the switch. So, but
Yeah.
that wasn't the crazy part. The crazy part was it was switching records. So it would take a record off and put another one on.
Oh, wow. Wow.
Yeah, but we got used
So
to it.
you got used to it. Yeah. Okay, so in when you were 30, you heard this voice that said, like a very fatherly voice, it said everything's going to
Yes.
be okay. Did
Yeah.
you have a sense of who that was?
No, not at that time, except for when I came out of the bathroom and told my wife that she said, maybe God's talking to you. And I said, why would he be talking to me? I'm just,
Mm.
you know,
Mm-hmm.
this, just a regular guy. So I didn't see myself as being anything more than just a regular person, but just a regular person with a lot of ghost stories. That's all.
Yeah. Yeah, and so but then okay, and then at age 50 you said you had a full awakening. So what did
Yeah,
that
very
look like?
extremely strange, uh, very, I'd say dramatic, but also traumatic at the same time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
I've never heard one since then that's anything like mine.
Yeah. And why was it, if you don't mind, if you're willing, like, why was it traumatic? Was it just very disorienting or just
I
that?
saw a lot of spirit
Yeah.
who were materializing in front of me all the time.
Yeah.
I was down in the basement to get my cat. My cat liked to go downstairs in the basement, so I went down in the basement to go get him. And when I was down there, I said, "Come on, buddy, it's time to go." And he looked at me, and he looked to his right, and I looked to my left. And when I did, a wall of blackness appeared in the middle of the floor,
Hmm.
and then a man walked out of it, and he came out with a big wide hat and a long coat. I couldn't see his facial features, but I could see his nose and his chin, and he walked across the floor. Um,
Hmm.
and then he went through the wall and disappeared. And then
Hmm.
I turned it back, and the wall just closed right up, and that was it.
Yeah.
But the strange part for me was, even though that's strange as it is, when he was walking, he didn't have any feet.
Mm-hmm.
So it was
Mm-hmm.
just kind of strange. But throughout that 2 week period, because my wife went away on vacation for two, and so I was alone in the house. There was something going on in my house every single day that I was there. I'd be going to bed at night, and out of the corner of the room, out of the top of the corner by the ceiling, a
Mm-hmm.
cloud would come out of the corner of the room, and it would be different colors, be red or green or yellow or blue. And
Mm-hmm.
then the next night it would be red with black stripes, green with black stripes. I had 8 foot skeletons walking around my house. I saw red and green mist pouring out of the walls with with skeletons and skulls coming out with these red eyes and fangs.
Mm-hmm.
Um, saw these creatures coming out of the wall. I saw people who were off in a distance, walking towards my bedroom, and then walking through the wall, and then walking around my bedroom, and walking out of the bedroom walls and leaving. Uh, I saw a uh, I saw a skeleton. I saw a big cloud form above the bed, and then it opened up to like a little window of blackness. And then I saw a skeleton standing there, and then he put his arms out. Again, strange part was when he put his arms out, he didn't have any hands, so he put his arms through, and then he pulled the body through, and the body was looking, and the head was looking around my room, and
Mm-hmm.
yeah, these types of things.
Yeah.
I had a little girl up here. I always like to check, even though I had an alarm clock. I always like to check to see what time it was, and because I don't like to be late to work. And I rolled over one time, and when I rolled over, there was a little girl kneeling next to my bed, and she had blonde hair and blue eyes, and she had a little blue and white dress on, and socks on, and little black shoes.
Mm.
Found out later her name was Wendy.
Interesting. So, yeah, and that certainly definitely sounds extreme. I mean, I had
It was.
a friend of mine went through a similar experience, awakening, spiritual awakening, where same thing, she could see things that they would appear, coming out of the walls would open and,
Yeah,
kinds of different things. And yeah, I mean, when you think of, exorcisms and things like that, it's like,
sure.
right? It's like, yeah, they're definitely, in fact, I just had an interview recently with somebody who, before his awakening, he didn't realize that he was under like a black spell, that somebody was practicing black magic on him. And until
Sure.
he got that dealt with, was he able to really access, his own connection
Yeah.
with the divine. So, so you had this overwhelming experience. At what point, how did you handle it? what did you, I mean, how, if things were coming at you, it seems like there was no way for you to just turn the switch off and say, I think
No,
I've had enough.
there was no turning a switch off. And
Yeah.
even when my wife returned from her vacation, she told me about her adventures, and then I told her about mine. And even at that point, we weren't married yet. She kind of questioned the relationship because of she was a nurse, and she believed that maybe my medicine, my diabetic medicine, was causing me some type of diabetic psychosis. But 3 days after being home, she started experiencing some of the same things as well, and she noticed a lot of the like there's like I'd go to bed at night and there'd be like orange orbs um, surrounding the bedroom,
Mm-hmm.
and then she also noticed when she opened the door to see what was going on with that, and she saw what looked like a tornado going around and around and around above me when I was laying in bed, and then I would physically glow at nighttime. Um, so to try to remedy that, we went online and looked for everything that we could find to figure this out. Um, couldn't find much. I went into some chat groups and still couldn't find anything. There's people don't know what the heck they're talking about. And so I eventually had a paranormal group come to the house, and I mean,
Mm-hmm.
even when they showed up to the house, they showed up with their little van with a little insignia on the side of it, and I just thought to myself at that moment, I don't want to be this kind of famous. This is not something you want people to know. I mean, that there could be possibly living next to a poltergeist house, but unfortunately for them, they were. But they came to the house, and the best part about them coming to the house was they witnessed everything that we had been going through for the last 6 or 8 months.
Oh, wow.
Um, they got all kinds of. They did some tests where they put these boxes up with little lights on them and little wires on them. And I said, "What's that do?" And he said, "Well," he rubbed his hand on the couch and then he waved his hand above it, and they started lighting up and making this little bloop noise. And I was like, "Oh, okay." So, I mean, I had watched some ghost shows before, but some of this stuff was new to me. So they
Mm-hmm.
put those boxes around, and then they started. There was a girl there who took pictures, and she actually said to me, she said, "You got to come and see this." And I was like, "What?" And she showed me some pictures, and it was a picture of either me with one of the other members of the team, or just me by myself, or just a picture of one of the other members by themselves. And anytime there was a picture with me in it, I had 15 to 20 light orbs completely surrounding me. Um, but they, but every time those boxes, wherever they were, I'd walk past them and they would all light up. Um, and and then one of the tests they did was they had me go in my bedroom at nighttime, and they wanted me to lay down and pretend I was sleeping because we did it all at nighttime.
Mm-hmm.
And then they came in with something called an ovulus, a spirit box. And when they came in, they turned it on. It immediately started speaking. It said Wendy, Michael, Paul, Helen, unique, special, energy, light, it also said the word road, like a street. When it said road, a car went past my house, went past my house. And I was like, I'm laying in bed going, oh my God, what was going on here? And then they started asking questions, and they did that for 10 minutes. They timed it, and it spoke back to them. There was no hesitation, there was no pause.
Mm-hmm.
It was as soon as they asked the question, one of the questions they asked was, "Are you here to harm Daniel?" And then the voice came through and said, "No, we are not here to harm Daniel. We love Daniel. We love Daniel's light. Daniel is the light." When it said Daniel is the light, I was excited but freaked out. What is that supposed to mean?
Yeah.
So I mean, when they got done, they went out of the bedroom, and then I went out there and I said to my wife, "What's going on?" Because they're in a huddle. She said, "I don't know, but it's something crazy going on because they're kind of arguing back and forth." And
Mm-hmm.
and I said, "So what's?" I mean, I said to him, I said, "You got all that, right? I mean, that was exciting. I mean, did you hear all that?" And he's like, "Well, yeah, we heard it, Mr. Jackson, but there's an issue." And I said, "What's the issue? There wasn't anything bad." He said, "No." He says, "The issue is whenever we use that box, we can only get it to spit out a word or two." He said, "It never says full sentences, and not for 10 minutes."
Mm.
And he said, so whatever is going on in there, we were having a conscious conversation with whatever or whoever is in that room. And he said, whoever is a lot, because I mean, it said so many names. And I was like, yeah, but I mean, he said, well, we're going to have to come back in 2 weeks and do a big reveal for you. The unfortunate part was they never came back. I finally got a hold of them 6 weeks later, and the leader of the group said they broke up on my front lawn because they were too scared to do anything past that. They said they don't. He said it doesn't take that. It usually takes 10 or 15 homes to get that kind of information, not just one.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
And
it really scared them.
wow. Wow. And so,
They'd been doing it for 5 years, and it really scared them.
wow, that's crazy. And so,
Yeah,
so there you were, kind of just like, all right, I
in
have this
limbo.
information.
I was
What do
in
I do
limbo.
now? I mean,
Right. So
yeah, go ahead.
we eventually sought out some mediums, and I found 5 of them. None of them knew each other, and every one of them told me the same story about me. So one of them eventually said she wanted me to come to her show to see how she does it. And I was thinking, why does she want me to do that? I mean, I don't know. But so I just bought some tickets to one of her shows that was close to my where we lived. And my wife and I showed up to the show, and we walked through the door, and there was about 50 or 60 people sitting in there and at the audience. And when we did that, the lady was standing on the stage. She saw me walk into the door, and then she locked eyes with me and followed me and my wife as we walked through the room and then sat down. And
Mm.
my wife said, did you tell her you were coming here? I said, well, I told her I was buying tickets, but I didn't tell her I was coming here. And she said, that was really creepy. I said, shit, you're telling me. I mean, I don't know what's going on. So she explained to the audience what she does and how she does it. She gets pictures, and they talk to her, and and so everybody sat in the room, and then she ended up reading 8 people, and I was the second person she read. And the way she did it, she would say some things that were coming to her, and then just asked anybody in the audience, "Does this equate to anybody?" And this one girl stood up the first time, she stood up the second time too for the second spirit that came through. But as I know it too, people want it to be them all the time. You know, they want to hope that there's a lot of people coming through for them.
Mm.
And so, and the woman said, yeah, I think that's my Uncle Bob. And she's like, and then she says some more things. She goes, no, that's not my Uncle Bob. And that's when I stood up and I said, that's for me. That's my dad. His name is Bob, because she's talked about a man who wore suits and t-shirts on the weekend, and yeah, and so and then she said he fell down and that's how he passed away. I said, yeah, that's my dad, because he
Mm.
fell down up a flight of stairs, and it moved his brainstem. But anyway, um, at the end of the show, I went down and introduced myself, and I said, hi, my name's Daniel Jackson. She said, oh, we spoke on the phone 2 weeks ago. I said, yes, I did. And she said, okay, here's stay here, don't move, wait till everybody leaves. You and I need to have a talk. I felt like I was 7 years old at that point, because I
Yeah.
was talking to, and I was like, oh my gosh, okay, all right. So
Yeah.
everybody leaves, and she said, so I understand you have an ability to see spirit. I said, lady, it's like being in a room with 1,000 people, except nobody leaves and more just keep coming in. And she said, yeah, I know you're seeing a lot. She said, but you have an ability to see them. She says, but the reason why you're seeing so many is because they're coming to you. And I said, why would they be coming to me?
Mm-hmm.
And she said, oh, she said, Daniel, I see spirit the way that spirit sees them, or as they see us. And I see this now too, as well as spirits see us regular people. They see the frame of your body, but they see a light inside of you, and that's your soul. That's the way spirit sees us. She said, and I can see you that same way, except you look different than anyone else I've ever seen in my life. And I said, what do you mean by that? She said, I saw you come into this room. I could feel you on the other side of that door.
Mm.
And I said, and what did you see? She said, again, people look like that light inside of a framed body. She said, you don't look like that. You look like the figure of a man, but you look like a figure of a man, completely white light. You look like a walking light bulb.
Uh-huh.
And I was like, okay, and what's that supposed to mean? She said, they're coming to you because they believe that you're the light into heaven.
Oh, wow.
And I said, what do I do with that? She said, help them. I said, help them do what? I said, how do I help them? She says, well, you got to make a big decision. I said, a big decision for what? She said, to move forward. Are you going to use this or not? I said, use what? I don't know what you're talking about. She said, oh, Daniel, she said, you're just a medium. You're just untrained. And I was
Mm,
like, what are you talking about? I'm not a medium. I mean, she said, yes, you are. She said, you just have to decide if you're going to move forward or not. And I said, move forward how? She said, you have to have a big talk with God. I said, what? She said, you need to talk, have a sit down talk with God and decide if you're actually going to use this ability for what it's for, or
mm,
if you're going to push it away. And I just looked at her and she said, I know you don't want to push this away. I said, it's been going on my entire life, but I don't know what to do from this point on. So she
mhm,
said, have that talk. So my wife and I left and we talked about it on the way home. And when we got home, I said to my wife, I said, I guess I got to go have this talk. And she said, well, you're going to have to do it for yourself. This, it doesn't involve me.
mhm,
And I said, yeah, I guess. And I said, how do I have a talk with God? And my wife is very good at putting things into perspective for me. And she said, how do you talk to him any other time?
mm,
You just do? And I said, I guess I will. So I walked into the bedroom and sat down on the bed. And I just said to him, I said, I'll do whatever you want me to do. And I kind of nervously said, I'll do whatever you want me to do. I'll go wherever you want me to go. I'll be wherever you want me to be, or be whatever you need me to be. I'll do it, whatever you want, but I need your help.
mhm.
I said, I'll do it 110%, but I need your help. I don't know what I'm doing here. I went into that conversation feeling like this was my rock bottom. I didn't know where else to turn,
Yeah.
but I now know that there wasn't anywhere else I needed to turn except to turn to him. He's the one that gave this to me, so he want me to do something with it. So the very next day, I walked out and said to my wife, "Okay, that's it. So we'll see what happens." And the next day, everything started to change, and all the scary stuff started to fade away. But that doesn't mean I don't still see scary stuff, because I do.
Mm,
I just have an understanding of it now. But I also know I'm protected at the same time from beings that we refer to, and I say it in that way because most people have a misunderstanding of what they are. But I refer to it as what we call archangels. They're not men with wings and shields and swords or magical beings that are going to fix your life. Why would a guardian angel keep you from getting sick with cancer, but not keep you or your dog from getting hit by a car? Because they don't do either. That's why. We just have a huge misunderstanding of that. I mean, if a guardian angel followed you around, guarded you from everything in your life, what would you learn from?
right,
Nothing.
right.
So, but they do provide me answers to help people. And the reason they provide me answers is because spirit do come to me all the time and they want me to cross them over. Some of them do, not all of them do, but and then for me they ask me questions all the time. So I ask my guides to give me answers, and then I tell the answers to the spirit, and then I guide them through. And because I can get answers for them, I can get answers for anyone.
Hmm.
So I do.
Yeah. And so I remember you telling me that they communicate to you in certain ways, like you have
Yes.
certain feelings in your
Oh,
body.
it's more than a feel. They touch me on my face. I feel that going across my eyebrow or someplace else to my face. Even from the last time you and I talked, I've had two new ones come in. So at this rate, I got touched on my face in 109 different places by 109 different archangels. I know who's exactly doing it and when. They also provide information into my mind, so it's more like a shared thought now. Because in the very beginning, it was like maybe 5% of my day. Now it's 98% of my day. So it never turns off, it never goes away. I
Mhm.
can turn off some of the things that I see, um, especially when I'm trying to go to sleep, because I don't get much sleep because they like to talk to me all night long.
Mhm.
Um, but I kind of feel it this way. Why would I turn something off of something everyone else wishes they had?
Mm,
But they only wish they had the cool part. they don't wish about all the other stuff. That sometimes the things that I see looks like the worst horror movie you've ever seen in your life, except you can't see this movie because they wouldn't show it in television movies because it's that kind of bad.
Yeah.
They wish they would have it, but they really don't because they wish they had it where they just saw a glimpse of it for a little bit. But for me, it doesn't turn off. It turns on when it wants to and turns off when it wants to.
Hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so these spirits come, and the ones that want to be, I guess, assisted, are there ever, do you
Yeah.
ever encounter some that say refuse to want to go
Oh,
back?
absolutely. There's a lot of them that just have no wanting to
No
go
desire.
to
Yeah.
back home. Yeah, because what happens, as I know from as my guides provide me with a lot of information, I now know most of what these fake practitioners and mediums out there don't even know because they don't. Uh, but spirit have a choice. When you wake up out of your body, you're going to get perfect memories of your lifetime here, but you're going to get perfect memories of all your other lifetimes, and you're going to know at that moment if you walk into that light, there's a possibility you might have to come back and do this all over again. And some of them don't want to.
Oh, interesting.
So
So
they
for
stay
them,
here.
it's a way of not having to incarnate again, and so they
Correct.
rather.
Correct. But there are some things that they have to deal with while being in that. What people think is hell was isn't. Um, there might be a guy walking around with horns and a tail there, but that's not because he's trying to control anybody. It's just because that's what he looks like where he comes from. Because I don't just see regular people. I see people, dogs, cats, horses, cows, fish, and other beings from other worlds. I also see in other realms. I also see in other dimensions a remote view, and I frequently have other beings from other realms visit me all the time. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, you would stay here what we would call earthbound, or as I know, the low energy dark place. Yeah,
Mhm. Yeah.
because some things I see there are horrible that are going on, but you're there for two reasons. One, you just got lost and didn't know where to go because there's no such thing as a rainbow bridge. Not all animals cross over,
Mm.
and or due to people, and or because it was your own choice. But they don't realize what they're getting themselves into.
Right. Yeah,
Unfortunately,
I have heard that. I remember reading a story from oh, I forget his name. He's a yogi. One of his books, he was talking about walking in a forest and encountering this spirit that was like locked in place for like over 300 years. Like it was
sure.
just, and so these, yeah, these other dimensions exist where these spirits are.
Yeah, I've seen cowboys and Indians.
Yeah,
I've seen dinosaurs. I've seen all kinds of things there.
yeah, amazing.
I've seen the worst of the worst. Also,
Yeah,
they
so
talk to me.
I'm curious about your view or any information that you might have about what's happening on the planet right now, because it really seems like, I don't know if it seems like the a lot of the darkness is being revealed, right?
Yeah,
Like,
it is, but it's of our own doing. We
mm,
choose to be. We relinquished the power a long time ago to those who said they would who would take care of us,
mhm,
and that was what we call kings and queens. And now that has shifted from kings and queens to government and to large corporations. So yeah,
right,
we've gave them the power. They don't want to give it up.
right,
They're not going to ever give it up. They might show on TV that they're all arguing with each other, but they're all patting each other on the backs because they're still in control. We're not.
right, right. And
Yeah.
so do you see it as, I'm curious if right now particularly it does resonate what you say about this this darkness that we're seeing. Well, it's been going on for a long time. It's
Yeah.
nothing necessarily new other than
No.
maybe it's just becoming more apparent or, unveiled, so to speak, of
Well,
the
it's
depth.
becoming more apparent to us because there are more of us who are waking up, and that's what more or less what archangels are in charge of. Are waking us up. More
Okay.
of us are waking up.
Yeah.
Does that mean they are communicating with people? No, they're not. Um, there's a process that you have to go through in order for you to work with any type of angel or archangel. And what we call angels are what archangels actually call lesser angels. not because they were lesser of a being, but because they have less responsibility. Because that's what spirituality comes down to. There are no such thing as ascended masters and all that other crap. Spirit do not call themselves that because they don't see themselves being any better than anyone else, because they're not. It just comes down to a responsibility of how much responsibility you have within the spiritual realm. That's all it comes down to. So all these people who say, "Oh, I'm channeling the ascended masters," they are not channeling shit. They don't know what the hell they're talking about. But yeah, they don't call themselves those things. They just don't. And that's these are terms that people use because they want you to show you how much power and control, even though they're in spirituality, how much power and control they have over the rest of everyone else. Because I'm better than you are. Because I'm a master medium or something like that. They're just they come up with these names of importance to show that they are still better than everyone else. But I myself do not do that. But I mean, I communicate with archangels all day long, and I also have channeled them many times, and not once has any one of those archangels come through and made me go, "Oh, I'm communicating with them." No, that's a circus show. That's
Yeah.
what they do. So they're just putting on a circus show. Don't believe those people. When they start snapping their fingers and doing all that stuff and making funny faces, they're just putting on a circus show, and they want you to believe it. The unfortunate part is most people do, but they
Mhm.
don't. They don't do that stuff.
Interesting. And
Yeah.
so yeah, so how are the archangels or angelic realm assisting humanity right now?
By putting out a thought process to try to get us to wake up, to understand that we are more than we've just been told, that we are more than just this meat suit. We are much more than that. But we have to get on an understanding of that as well.
Hmm.
But again, even with that, I mean, true spirituality isn't what people think it is. Uh, I tell people all the time, in order to have true spirituality, you have to get rid of all the blocks. And all the blocks are pain, anger, sorrow, grief, guilt, anguish, hate, greed, selfishness, drama, anxiety, depression, jealousy, ego, no smoking, no drinking, no doing drugs. If you have tattoos, stop getting them, because everything you put into the body and on the body is a block, because the body and the brain are itself already a block. Your consciousness has nothing to do with, nor has it ever been, your pineal gland. It has nothing to do with that, because spirit doesn't have a pineal gland and they communicate with us. Why do we have to have one? Because we don't. What your consciousness is, your soul, and your soul just resides within this body and this brain. But we are blocked by all the distractions in the world, that we need to have 6 cars and 7 houses and 10 boats and watching everything on television and paying attention to the news and the people who want to control us, because they have found out a way that they can do that by putting a narrative out there to keep us under control. The thing about it is it's they tell us one day to eat bacon and they tell us next day not to eat bacon. Well, here's the problem. They need to shut the hell up, but we need to stop listening. We need to stop looking at what they're doing and get back to paying attention to who we are in this world.
Yeah,
That's what the issue is.
I agree. I think that now more than ever, it's important that we reconnect to our own
Yes.
intuition. Um,
Our intuition has nothing to do with what's going on, and whoever's mom has disappeared or whatever's going on in the news with the politics and all that stuff has nothing to do with any of that. Nothing. It's
yeah.
just that all that is just a disconnect from who we truly are.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. And so so once you decided, okay, God, thank you for this gift.
Well, I wouldn't exactly call it a gift. I always call it an ability, because this ability
Oh,
is not it's not brought to you as a gift when you wake up
right.
in this world.
I
This
see.
ability is put into your soul during the creation of your soul.
I
As
see.
I always tell, I mean, you either have it or you don't. Some people just have it and some people don't. We all have a little bit of it when you wake up in the world and you're pure of heart,
Yeah.
but you learn the ways of the world and all that stuff goes away. But it goes away because you're just not meant to keep it. That's all.
Yeah.
But as I tell people, some of us are just meant to be teachers, while others are just meant to be students. But I'm not meant to be a brain surgeon either. So I'm just
Right.
meant to be this.
Right. Right. So with this ability, you did you just decide, okay, I'm gonna use it to help people, or was that clear, or
Yes. Is that the ding for me?
No, no, that's
Yes.
my son somehow
I
is
thought that
getting
was awesome.
through. Getting
Perfect
a little
timing, right? Yeah.
text.
No. Yeah, that's what I wanted to do. I thought if I was being, this was what I meant to be. And I found out what I meant to be due to some channeling messages that we got, finding out to develop my ability.
Mhm,
Um, those channeled messages that came through, again, these were archangels that came through. Jesus Christ came through a couple of times, and then on two occasions, God came through.
mhm.
Yeah, this was meant to be something bigger. It's bigger than me. Um, and because it's bigger than me, it has to be up to a wider audience. So yeah, it's for me to get out to the world to try to change this place, because if we don't do this internally instead of trying to do it externally through our channels of government and all that stuff, then it's never going to happen. So it has to be done internally within us all. It has to start with us.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
how do I get it out to us? I mean, they actually guided me to doing podcasting. So
yeah,
that's what I do.
yeah, amazing. Yeah, I agree. It feels to me that there is and I'm not sure who exactly, although I know David Icke talks about reptilians and things like that. I don't know what you
Oh,
think
sure,
about
they're
him,
out there.
right?
Yeah,
That
they
it's
don't just come here and visit. They've never left. That's
right.
why
Yeah,
they've
there's
been here for a long
definitely a
time.
war on, I guess, the human, and it seems to me
Sure.
that there is an agenda for us to become disconnected from our soul and to
Yes.
our actually our bodies being infiltrated by technology, right?
Yes. Absolutely. Yeah. Well, I mean, people haven't only just been here a couple of thousand years. We've been here hundreds of thousands of years, longer than that. And
Hmm.
but we've never been taught that, because the more they keep our history away from us, the more that we can be kept under their thumb.
Yeah, yeah. And I'm curious, like one of the things that I notice for myself personally, as an example, all of the EMF radiation and
Sure.
that kind of thing. I notice I've grown pretty sensitive to it, more than I thought I would be. And how I discovered is that I had to travel to Phoenix for a convention.
Sure.
And I remember being in the Airbnb where I was staying in the middle of Phoenix, and I could hear,
Nice and hot.
yeah, I could hear all these little subtle different frequencies and tones that didn't, it wasn't like I was hearing spirit. I was hearing, to me, it felt like technology. It felt like the
Correct.
waves going through the air.
Correct.
And and going through the airports and going through all the scanning and just all the radiation, I was wiped out.
Sure.
I was totally,
Energetically and physically. Sure.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And so I mean, I guess for me, it's like, okay, well, how do you remedy that? All right, well, maybe, spend less time on the computer, go out and ground, drink
Right.
lots of water, eat
Right.
clean. Is there anything else that you've come across that maybe helps with keeping our vessels
Yeah, trying
pure?
to eat better foods and trying to not to get caught up in all the food that is out there as well, because it's so chemically induced. But yeah, getting back to self is the most important part. Again, keeping yourself separated from all the garbage that's going on out in the world, and television and stuff. I mean, it's okay to get on if you're going to get on computers and TV because you're trying to learn something more about your spirituality, then absolutely. But I would stick with that more than I would with what's going on in the latest sitcom that just came out, or the late night bullcrap that's going on.
Right.
Um, because those late night shows are all about politics anymore. But it's more to be it's more important to get more in touch with ourselves than it is anything else, and trying to educate ourselves on that at the same time, instead of just walking around in a daze the entire time, wondering how much work I have to do this week so I can get my next iPhone or something like that, you know?
Yeah, yeah. So my next question I want to ask you, as it's coming to my mind, when a loved one crosses over, and
If,
if someone, yeah, if
yeah, because
well, let me ask you this because this is, I've read some of Rudolf Steiner's work, and he kind of explains a little bit. I don't know if
I
you
don't
know,
know. I don't follow
but
these
but
people.
let me tell you what he
Yeah, go
said.
ahead.
He's from the 1800s, and
Hmm.
he says that
Well, he went home.
yeah, when someone dies, that when when the living takes the time to honor them or to think positively of that for them or to pray for them, that it
Yeah.
actually nourishes them in the spirit world. Is that true? Do you find that to be true?
What was that question again?
Yeah, yeah, that when the living remembers the dead, let's say, does it nourish the departed soul?
No.
No. Okay.
I don't know where they come up with this stuff. Oh my gosh. I just saw something the other day. Someone posted a video to me of what's her name? I forget her name. But she posted this woman, she passed away. I forget her name, but she posted a video that your soul rises up out of your body and goes to a temple in the spirit realm and gets cleansed and then comes back. That no, it doesn't. I mean, there's so much. The soul doesn't need cleansing. That's a lot of garbage that's going on in the world. But
Mm,
no, you don't. They want you to think good thoughts of them, but if they've crossed over into light, they don't need any nourishing. They have no longer have any pain, anger, sorrow, grief, guilt, anguish, hate, greed, selfish. It's all about love and joy there. It's all about
they
just a pure,
remember.
yeah,
Yeah.
they remember everything. They remember everything, but
Mm,
they don't remember just you because they have memories of all their lifetimes. So we can't get out of our own singularity here as being, oh, my mom dad's in heaven now, I hope they're thinking about me. Well, they're thinking about you, but they're thinking about all their other lifetimes and everyone else they've ever met throughout their lifetimes as well. But most of everyone they've met who have crossed over are there, so they don't need to worry about thinking about them all the time. But yeah, we can't get out of the idea that we are the only ones that they are connected to. But because I mean, the truth of the matter is, we're all connected to each other. Even the ones who are in the lower energy realm are connected to those as well, because a soul is a soul is a soul.
yeah.
People just can't but they can't fathom that. They can't understand it because they're still stuck in this body here, and they're taught certain things. But even in spirituality, they're taught certain things in spirituality that don't allow them to understand how much connected they really are. They
Mm,
just can't get out of it. They can't get out of their own existence of right now.
yeah.
Your existence was created a long time before you became a human, a
Mm,
long time ago. And I
mm,
say time ago but there's no actual time there. But your soul was created a long time ago before it ever became a human. And you will not know that until you step up out of your body.
mm,
You will know, but when you do, you will.
mhm,
And
mhm.
then you'll get a better understanding of why you're here and what
Yeah.
your purpose was here for, but not just that, but why you are in existence at all.
Yeah.
And that's what people, unfortunately, the fake practitioners and gurus don't teach you that
Yeah.
because they don't understand it either.
Yeah. And so when you work with people, are you able to help them see maybe if they're stuck and they don't know what their purpose is or
Well,
what
everybody has the same purpose. We just think it's going to be something different from each other because we have to have some big grandiose story that it's going to be. When you're
mm,
thinking in that line of thinking,
mm,
that's your ego. That has
mm,
nothing to do with your soul or your purpose. Purpose is we're here to help each other just for the sake of helping, not because you can, but because you should. In a way, we're going to do something for someone they cannot physically possibly do for themselves, or you're helping them to figure it out. You're doing it for the reason of just because. You're
mm.
doing acts of kindness. When you see a dog in the middle of the street,
Yeah.
if you're that person that says, let me go get that dog out of the road, let me
Yeah.
go find its owner, let me get it to a vet, let me do something to help that animal who can't help
Right.
himself.
I see.
That's your purpose. Or if someone is walking across the street and they can't quite make it up the curb and you help them or you
Yeah.
give them directions, that's your purpose.
So it's
But
so much
standing
it's so much
standing in front
simpler
of a
than we make it to be.
but standing in front of a camera going, oh, look how wonderful I am. I'm feeding all these people in this kitchen and they take pictures of me. That's
Uh-huh.
not your purpose. That's your ego because
Yeah,
you want to prove to everyone else how wonderful you are.
yeah, yeah,
And that's egotistical bullcrap.
yeah.
Yeah.
And so when people come to you and they want to work with you, how, I guess, um, why does somebody come to you? What are they coming with?
Because they need
Yeah,
answers about how to get their life together, to
I see.
stop doing the crap that they're doing. And I provide them answers. I'm not one of those practitioners or gurus who does like one-on-one sessions with people other than doing readings for them, uh, because I feel it's more important for me, as well as my guides want me to do, is put a message out to everyone and not just singular people one at a time. So that's why I do the podcast show, to provide information to everybody. I
Okay.
do readings on occasion. I'm actually doing some readings this weekend up in Tucson at
Uh-huh.
a big fair, and I sit across from people
Yeah,
and I do readings for them. But again, even when I provide them the information, it's up to them to use their free will to decide whether or not they're going to use it.
right, right, right.
But
So that
but it is my job to provide them the information, as well as do when I do my show, to provide information, or even to do shows like yours, to provide information to people, to get them to go out in the world and wake the heck up.
yeah.
Because
And where can people find your show? Where is it hosted?
well, the show I'm doing now, it's a psychic and healing fair up in Tucson, Arizona,
Hmm.
at the Crystal Event Center. It's there once a month, and I
I
go up
see.
there once a month. I've been
And
doing
then,
it for like 2.5 years now.
okay, and then the podcast.
My podcast is called Beyond the Veil with Daniel Jackson. And that's on a place called newrealitytv.com, of which I can tell you today, but
Yeah,
because
please do.
um, it's going to be going on Roku and Fire TV. And I say going to be going on because they actually, the people who own the network, it's me and 47 other creators. They actually sent me, because I'm so proactive about this network, that they sent me the actual link to go into the beta testing of it being on Roku and Fire TV. So my wife and I turned it on this morning, and you can
Hmm.
now you can see my face on TV. So we're doing the beta testing for that, as well as some others will do it. But they sent it to me first because they know, they they respect my opinion. So that's taking place now. So very soon, everything will be on Roku, Fire TV, Google TV, iOS, the Android app, all the different apps that are on television. So it'll be through newrealitytv.com.
Hmm.
But even when you have to sign up for the app. So it's its own app, newrealitytv.com. You can't put in a dot because there's no dot. So you just put newrealitytv.com and that'll
Oh,
come up there. But
okay.
it just turned on today. So
Okay.
which it's right now, again, it's only in the beta testing where we're testing to make sure that the app works all the time. So hoping probably by next month it'll be on there full time, and then you'll be able to go on to Roku or Fire TV and Google TV and Apple,
Amazing.
and see
Amazing.
you'll be able to see my face on freaking TV. I don't know if that's a good thing, Tanya, but maybe I should wear a mask or something. I don't know, but yeah, as long as it's getting out there, yeah. I
Yeah,
mean, we're
beautiful.
super excited. Yeah.
Amazing. Any closing thoughts or messages you want to leave with the audience?
One thing I always tell people to not do is to not judge each other. I mean, when you're walking through a parking lot and you see somebody coming up to you and you just look at them and go, "Oh, I don't like their shirt. I don't like the way their hair is, looking all disheveled." I mean, how many times have we ever looked disheveled throughout our lives? What I want you to do at that point is I want you to take an inventory of yourself, a self inventory. Think of all the crap you've been through in your life, and look back at that person and say to yourself, maybe they're just going through something today. Because if you don't think anyone else in this world is not going through something, you're absolutely wrong. We're all going through something in this world. We all have something that's we're trying to figure out in the back of our minds that we can't
Mhm.
seem to do. But some of us are really good actors, and some of us just aren't. So when you do see them, just instead of you could bite your tongue and walk away, or what you could do is just walk up to that person and say, "Hello, how are you?" And maybe they'll just go, "Oh, hi, how are you? I'm good. How are you?" Doing okay. How about yourself? I'm doing okay, but we all got something going on. Yeah, we do. Well, you know what? I hope you have a great day today. I hope you do too. And
Mm.
then walk away. Why not try to make someone else's day a little bit better by maybe getting them away from what they're going through in their lives, or give them some type of inspiration in their lives that what, we're all people, we're all in this together. We all live on the same planet. No one's going anywhere anytime soon, so we better start to get along with each other before we annihilate each other. Why don't we start looking out for each other instead of trying to blame everything on everyone else for everything else that's going
Absolutely.
on in the world? Wake up. We're
Thank
all
you.
just human beings.
Yeah, we are. We are. It's so true. And we all have our own battles to face.
I I just had an experience last week. I was at this place down in Bisbee, Arizona, and this building has a couple businesses in there, and there was a bookstore, an actual bookstore, imagine that, and a coffee shop and a restaurant. And I'm sitting there, and there was an author there, and I met her once before, and we're both sitting there talking, and and this woman walks up and sees her book, and looks at her book, and she said, "Well, the conservatives don't want us to learn how to read." And I looked at her and I said, "Why can't we just be human beings? I mean, why can't we just do that?" And she said, "Well, the point is," I said, "No, the point is you don't have to walk around with that kind of hate in your heart, knowing or thinking that just because someone is a conservative that everyone thinks alike, because they don't. We're
Yeah.
all just human beings. We're all going through something in this world. But what you might as well do is take that word conservative or anything else, Democratic or Republican, whatever you're using politically, you might as well be calling them a racial slur, because that's what you're doing, because you're just assuming that everybody thinks alike when we don't. We're all just human beings trying to get through this world the best way we can. But what we don't need to do is walk around with all this hate in this world because the narrative wants us to believe that. Maybe you should learn to let that go, lady.
Yeah.
And she
Absolutely.
said, "Oh," and she went, and her husband said, "Hey, do what he says. Let it go." Yeah, it was
Yeah.
just kind of crazy. I mean,
Yeah.
it's unfortunate the way that we are programmed to live a certain way, to act a certain way, and be a certain way
Yeah.
by the people that we ourselves can't stand, because all they do is have control over us. We
Yeah.
need to wake up and realize that we're all human beings. We can all take care of each other, but we have to work hard at it.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that if we stopped judgment
Yeah.
across the board,
Who are we
our
to judge
wor-
each other?
our
You
world
know,
would be very different.
God doesn't judge us. We judge ourselves 1,000 times a day. Why does he need to do it once more? Because he doesn't.
Yeah. Yeah. Beautiful, beautiful message. Thank you, Daniel, so much. Thank you for sharing your story. And to all the listeners, please like, share, and subscribe. Check out Daniel's website, spiritmediumdaniel.com. The links to his podcast will be in the description as well. And yeah, thank you so much and have a blessed rest of your day.
Thank you. You too. Appreciate it.